Hey everybody, moving right along to the next section, which is going to be the services section. For this one, we are going to use a series of SVG images. If you remember what those are, the logo was made with one of those. These are going to be some icons that we're going to put down in an activity section near the bottom here. And really all we're doing for this is filling out the page. Again, you could make as many or as little sections as you want, but in order for this to kind of look like a finished page, we're gonna fill this out. So we're gonna go with div. The class is going to be activities. Okay, and what we're gonna do with this one, let me just think here. Let's make an H1 for this, similar to nature is calling, which we had higher up, but this time we're gonna put H1. And let's put, let's just say local activities, something like that. And we'll just save that really quick. And you'll see it down here because it's in that new section. It's getting pushed over because I think the text is breaking into that. We'll fix that. And let's start by... Oh, let's actually do the same thing we did earlier. Let's put a horizontal rule, and let's also put a break so that it looks consistent. It looks good. You got that line there. We want to have all the same sort of formatting as we had higher up. For this section, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to make it look a little different, but that's okay to start, I would say. Let's go to the style. We're going to create a, whoops, I used comma instead of period. We're going to create our style for the services section. Let's start with the text align center so it moves to the middle. Okay, boom, it should have done that. You can't see it because this text is pushing. That's going to drive me crazy, actually. Did I call it services? Oh, I called it, what am I talking about? Services, activities. I don't know what I was thinking of services. Activities, that's what I called it. Oops, I didn't get rid of all of it. There we go. And now let's test that. Okay, that doesn't seem to be moving for some reason. Activities, did I misspell it? Let's copy that. Oh, I know why, silly me. Because we are, yeah, hang on a second. Yeah, I misspelt it. Okay, no, it wasn't what I thought. Still not moving over. You know what? Let's not worry about that for right this minute. But let's adjust a few other things. Let's first of all adjust the height of this block. So the height, we're going to make it 400 pixels, similar to the previous one. Let's make sure. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't seem to be responding to that. Geez, I think we just didn't have enough space in there. That's really strange. It doesn't seem to be responding to that. We'll come back to that. I'm sure it's something simple that I'm not doing. Okay, so the height is 400. The padding on the left and right is going to be 20%, like we did before. Oh, that's got to be left, and padding right will be 20%. Okay. Oh, I know something that we might be missing. Now, remember up here when we had set these to inline blocks, I changed them back to float. I don't know why I did that, to be honest, but I just want to try something here in activities. If I put display block, let's just see if that moves it down. I just want to see if that works. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I know what the problem is then. I have to set mine back to inline blocks. Inline blocks. And you guys probably don't have the same issue I have because yours is still set to inline blocks. But I was just playing with something actually before I made the video, and I'm pretty sure that's what messed it up. No, it still seems to be doing something weird. I'm going to come back to that in a sec after we do all these adjustments, and then we'll see, because if this next one doesn't work, then there's definitely something wrong. So I'm going to change the color of the font to white. And it did not change. So we have to look. Oh, there it is. I made this mistake so many times. Watch for that. There we go. Now everything's working. Okay. And I bet you if I even did the float left, you know what, let's just leave it, because again, I want to teach you guys multiple ways of doing the same thing. So this is working. The white text is there. The padding is right. The height is good. Everything's good. We can't see the text, but that's because I wanted to change the background color here to a gray. And I could pick, if I want to be consistent, I could pick this color from up here, which is RGB 11111111. I could just paste that in here. Okay, if you don't want to always go to the color picker, that'll work. You see how it's just going to put that background color in there, which is the same gray as that up here. That's a good thing to do to be consistent. I should probably have the same gray up here as well. It's good to have consistency throughout your site. But let's make this look a little bit better still. And hopefully you guys caught your own mistakes. You know, sometimes I make a mistake, and hopefully you're catching your own so that you don't rely on what I'm doing completely. So let's make the content of this centered. And I honestly don't think that display block is going to matter now. Yeah, oh, okay. Well, you see how that text overlaps there? What? No, it does regardless. Okay, so it doesn't make a difference. So we'll take out display block. There's no reason having that. That's the default anyways. There's no reason to set that. One thing I haven't shown yet is something called margin auto. And I like using this because what it'll do is it will set up margins automatically so that it has proper spacing. This is useful sometimes for getting things to line up properly. And if you have objects like we're about to put in and we want to auto fill the margins on the sides, this works great for that so that everything stays nice and centered. Don't always need to use it, but in this case, I think it's going to help, and I'll show you the difference after. For our padding for everywhere else, I mean, we're doing left and right, but for everywhere else, I'd like to have at least 20 pixels padding. And again, you'll be able to see what this is doing shortly. This text is bothering me here that it cuts in. We can easily fix this later, but I want to fix it now. So in the about section above, let's just increase the height of that by 50 pixels. So that pushes it all down so that that doesn't overlap, because that just really bugs me just the way it looks. Okay. Now we've got the local activity section here, but now what we want is we want to have the actual icons for the activities, which I have in the images folder. And to do that, you know what, one other thing I want to fix here is this horizontal rule line. You see how it has this sort of black shadow? I don't like that. So let's fix that while we're at it. I mean, we might as well. So that's dot activities. That's the HR. Let's set the color to white. Okay. And let's, I think it already is, but let's align that to the center as well, just in case it isn't for whatever reason. Okay, it still has the shadow. I think we'll fix that after. I just want to make sure that the line was white and that wasn't what we were seeing there. We'll fix that after. No problem. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put in the columns, the actual activity columns. So we're going to go into the index here, and we're going to go under local activities and under the horizontal rule. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a div, and we're going to, just to save time, we're going to be copying and pasting this div after. So we're just going to make it once. It's going to be called class activity column, because that makes sense to me. And inside of here, we're going to put an image, and the source will be the images. Oh, remember the dot dot because we're inside of the, oh no, sorry, no, we're in the HTML. So it's just going to be images. Why is it not coming up automatically? I don't know. That's going to be tricky because I don't have the name of the file memorized. Let's save it. Try that again. Source equals. There we go. I had to delete the quotation. Maybe you'll have to do the same. Images. We'll start with, let's do camping first. It really doesn't matter which one we start with. And we'll set the width to 100. Now again, we could use the CSS to set the width. We don't have to do it here, but I like to have it in both places. If we save that, we're going to see the camping icon. There it is. Let's also put a title, an H1 title, that just says what the icon is. So in this case, it's camping. Save that. I know it's huge. We're going to fix that all. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this whole div, this whole entire column that you see here, and we're going to copy and paste it 3 times. And don't worry, it's going to look bad to start. It's going to look really bad. But it will look better after, I promise. Okay, so let's just put those 4 columns. And what's going to change here is each one of these images. So we'll wipe this one out. We don't need camping. The next one is going to be, let's go with canoeing or canoe. And then the text will be canoeing. Canoeing. Oops. Double A. Then we'll wipe this one out. Oh boy, doesn't want to go away sometimes. Images. Let's do fishing. And let's take this one out. I'm just hitting backspace here. I'm doing quotation. Images. Hiking. Okay, and let's just fill in each one. So canoeing, fishing, and then hiking was the last one. Save. So now we're going to see all the icons, but they're going to just keep going out of this block. To be honest, we don't even have to set, if we go in our style, we take off the height adjustment. That's probably a better idea because when you take that off, it'll automatically adjust the height of the div to whatever it needs to fit those in. This looks really bad. I don't like them all one on top of another. So what we're going to do is we're going to line them up beside each other so they don't take up so much space. And so again, we had that class called activity column, and that's where we're going to make the adjustments. So we're going to go into style CSS. We're going to go dot activity column, make the adjustment for those. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to vertically align them to the top so that everything gets pushed up. If you remember that problem we were having higher up, I don't want that to happen again. We'll align our text to the center. Okay. We need to set a width. If you remember last time, nothing changed until we set the width 20%. And let's just save that. Let's see what happens. They're going to move over. Now what we can do is we can, I think we could use either float or inline block. I just want to see what float left will do. I think, yeah, it'll put them all next to each other. I just want to see what the difference of if we did display inline block, because I think it'll do the same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with inline block. It seems to have spaced out a little more. We're gonna fix that in a second. We're gonna add a margin. That's why these things are so stacked up tight to each other. We're gonna put maybe 10 pixels for our margin. That'll space them out a little bit. You notice that any that doesn't fit gets moved down to the next line. And we gotta shrink that text because that text is horrible. So activity column, whoops, column. That's the H1 tag that we use there. Our font size, let's try 15 pixels. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad. Let's just see if this is, yeah, they'll go beside each other as long as the window is big enough. It's not bad. I might go a little bigger. Maybe I'll go about 19. Yeah, that's better. That's better. And one thing I want to say, one thing that you'll notice sometimes is like when you look at the page at full size, like if you expand the window to full size, you might notice at the bottom there's not a lot of room. And that might, like from a design point of view, that might bug you just because it looks bad. So one thing you can do, and I never showed this yet, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, is in the activities sort of area here, what you could do is you could just add padding to the bottom. Let's say even like 100 pixels. It could be a lot. And save that. And what's going to happen now with that is you'll see you've got all this extra space, and it doesn't look like it's like right up against the footer. You know, you can add a little bit of space using padding to the bottom. I could have done that to this block as well, since the text was cutting into the other block. But now you'll see again when it scales down, it's going to still look okay. Now, if you're worried about the way this looks at such a small window size, I'm going to tell you not to worry about it, because later on, we're actually going to be building, we're going to be modifying our CSS to create the mobile versions of the site. And so it's almost like building two websites. We're going to build one that we're first going to use for desktop. That's the one we're building right now. And then later on, we're going to build the one for the mobile. All right, so that is done for the main page. We might want to go and tweak a few things later, and that's what we're going to get to next. We're going to have some links, and the last thing for this desktop version is the contact page, and that's what we're going to be dealing with next. All right, so stay tuned for that.